Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to look at something most people would rather just totally avoid mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But before you run away or grab your bug spray, we're zeroing in on a specific type, Culex mosquitoes in Mexico.
And they're more than just a nuisance. They actually play a pretty big role in public health.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we're diving deep into this 2015 research article from the Boletín Geográfico. It's called Modelo Biogeográfico de los Mosquitos, Culex Spp, Diptera, Culicidae in Mexico.
Catchy title.
Right. So basically, we want to figure out where these mosquitoes are most likely to hang out. What makes some places more appealing to them than others?
Yeah, what are the environmental factors at play? And then the really important part, how does all this impact public health?
It's almost like we're trying to predict potential disease outbreaks.
Yeah, exactly.
So first things first, this article makes it clear that these Culex mosquitoes, they're not just annoying. They can spread some serious diseases that can make both people and animals sick.
Right.
One thing that really stood out to me was the whole idea of these reservoirs.
Oh, yeah, that's a key concept.
Can you, break that down a bit more for us? What does that even mean?
Sure. Think of it this way. You've got certain animals, birds, rodents, for instance. They can be infected with these viruses but show absolutely no symptoms.
Oh, wow.
They're totally fine, but they're carrying the virus, and then a mosquito comes along, bites the infected animal.
Oh, no.
And then that mosquito carrying the virus bites a human.
Okay, that is not a happy story.
No.
So where are these Culex mosquitoes, concentrated in Mexico? Where are they most likely to be?
Well, the research, it actually pinpointed 2 states on the eastern coast, Veracruz and Tabasco.
Interesting. Why those areas, though? What makes them so, mosquito-friendly?
So the researchers used this technique called ecological niche modeling. It's basically like creating a map, but digitally, that shows where a species is most likely to thrive based on all these different environmental factors. And what they found was that temperature, in particular, plays a huge role.
Oh, so it's all about finding that perfect temperature, right? Like Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold.
Precisely. The study actually identified 3 main temperature variables. They were the average monthly temperature range, the annual temperature range, and then the average temperature of the coldest quarter.
In those eastern coastal areas, they just happen to have the ideal temperature combo, I guess.
Yeah.
But how does temperature actually, affect the mosquitoes themselves?
Well, temperature can impact everything. We're talking about mosquito development, how long they survive, even their ability to transmit diseases. It's all connected.
Wow, it's like these mosquitoes have some internal thermometer that's guiding their every move.
It really is. And so they're naturally drawn to these warmer coastal areas because, well, it's just the perfect environment for them to, flourish.
Right. But this research goes beyond just, mapping out these mosquito hotspots, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding, the why behind the where, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So why does that matter? Why is it so important to understand all this?
Okay, think of it this way. If we know where these mosquitoes are most likely to be, we can be proactive, implement targeted mosquito control measures, maybe even anticipate potential outbreaks before they happen.
Oh, I see. So this research is kind of like a cheat sheet for public health officials, helping them stay one step ahead.
You could say that, but it is important to remember that this research, it's really just one piece of a very large and very complex puzzle.
Okay, so we've got these maps, these predictions, but I'm curious, how reliable are they really? Does a high probability of a suitable habitat, actually mean there are mosquitoes there?
That's a really good question, and it actually touches on one of the limitations of this study. You see, the model predicts suitable living conditions, not necessarily the actual confirmed presence of mosquitoes.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of like a weather forecast. It gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect, but it doesn't mean things can't change or that there won't be surprises.
So it's more like a starting point than a definitive answer.
Exactly. There are other factors that could influence mosquito distribution that aren't really accounted for in this model.
Like what?
Well, for instance, you have things like bird migration routes. Birds can actually introduce mosquitoes to new areas, even if those areas aren't predicted to be highly suitable based on the model.
That's interesting. So even with these sophisticated models, we don't have the whole picture. There's still so much we don't know.
Absolutely. It really highlights the need for ongoing surveillance and data collection, to constantly refine our understanding of these complex systems.
It's almost like we're playing this never-ending game of hide and seek with these mosquitoes.
I like that analogy. And it's not just about location either. It's about understanding all the factors that drive mosquito populations in the first place. We've talked a lot about temperature, but what about things like rainfall or humidity?
Right? Those definitely play a role too, right? I mean, we all know mosquitoes love a good puddle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right to bring those up. This particular study focused on temperature, but a lot of other research has shown that rainfall and humidity are really critical factors too. For example, heavy rainfall, it creates more breeding grounds for mosquitoes, which can lead to these huge population spikes.
So it's not just about the temperature being just right. They also need enough water to, like, lay their eggs and everything. It's like a mosquito checklist for the perfect habitat.
Exactly. Understanding all of these subtle details is crucial for developing truly effective control strategies. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
That makes sense. What works in a humid, tropical region probably wouldn't be that effective in a drier climate.
Precisely. Even within a single country like Mexico, you have all these different climates and ecosystems. Mosquito control really needs to be tailored to those specific conditions to be successful.
Okay, so where do we go from here? We've got these models. We're learning more and more about mosquito behavior. But how do we actually use this knowledge? How do we put it into action, in the real world?
Well, I think the key is taking a multi-pronged approach. So first and foremost, we need continuous surveillance and data collection. The more we know about mosquito populations, their distribution, the diseases they carry, the better equipped we'll be to respond effectively.
So it sounds like a team effort is needed then, like a collaboration between scientists, public health officials, and even local communities.
Absolutely. We need to work together if we want to make real progress. You've got public health campaigns, community engagement, targeted vector control strategies. These are all pieces of the puzzle, and they all need to work together.
I see. So what about individual responsibility? Is there anything like everyday people can do to protect themselves?
Oh, absolutely. Personal protection is so important. Things like using insect repellent, wearing long sleeves and pants when you're out, especially at dawn and dusk when they are most active, and then, of course, eliminating any standing water around your home. These are simple measures, but they can make a world of difference.
So those basic precautions, they really can go a long way. But awareness is also important, right?
Absolutely. Staying informed about mosquito activity in your area and being aware of the symptoms of mosquito-borne illnesses, knowledge in this case, it can truly be life-saving.
This whole deep dive into Culex mosquitoes, it's been pretty eye-opening. We've gone from itchy bites to complex ecosystems, disease transmission, and public health interventions. Who knew there was so much to learn about these tiny creatures?
Yeah, there's always more to uncover, for sure. But I think we need to take a quick break here. We'll come back soon to wrap things up.
All right, we're back and ready for the final stretch of our deep dive into Culex mosquitoes in Mexico. We've covered a lot of ground, hotspots, habitats, even what people can do to protect themselves. But there's one last thing we really need to talk about.
Yeah.
Climate change.
It's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's affecting everything,
Yeah.
and mosquitoes are no exception. It's a little bit, concerning.
Right.
We already talked about how sensitive mosquitoes are to temperature, so a warming climate, it
Yeah.
could really change things, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And that actually brings us to a question for all of you listening. How do you think climate change might affect the distribution of these mosquitoes and, the diseases they carry in the future? It's something to really think about.
It's a tough one. But as temperatures rise, is it possible we'll see these mosquitoes expanding their range, like moving into new areas that were previously too cold for them?
Oh, it's definitely a possibility. And those maps we were looking at, those predicted hotspots, they could shift over time as the climate changes. And it's not just about geographical range either. Warmer temperatures, they can actually speed up mosquito development, make them grow faster. And it can even increase their biting rates.
Oh, wow. So more mosquitoes biting more often.
Yeah.
That can't be good. What does that mean for disease transmission?
Well, it could mean a higher risk of outbreaks. It's a complicated equation. But the potential consequences for public health are pretty significant, and that's why understanding mosquito distribution is so important.
It all ties together then. Knowing where they are, what factors affect their populations, how those factors might change down the line. It's all about protecting people, ultimately.
Exactly. And this research is a reminder, that we need to be proactive, adapt our strategies as the climate changes, and these mosquitoes potentially move into new areas. We can't just wait and see what happens.
Well, this has been quite a journey. It's amazing how something as small as a mosquito can have such a huge impact on our world. It makes you think.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? It's a good reminder that we're all interconnected, too. You've got these environmental factors, mosquito populations, human health. It's a complex web, and we're all part of it.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating and, let's be honest, slightly itchy topic.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Anytime.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll be back next week with another topic to explore. So until then, stay curious. And maybe, invest in some good mosquito repellent. Just in case.